Why 21 days of inspiration, you ask? 21 days of inspiration, the new Jumpstart class series that I'm doing. 21 days, because it's been proven that it takes a minimum of 21 days to really make a significant change. Whether that's quitting your afternoon coffee, or quitting smoking, or improving your level of commitment to consistent exercise, etc. That's why it's 21 days. So I'll be doing 3 classes coming up next Tuesday. So please, Rooted Living Wellness for that. I'm going to read a little bit from my Pocket Guide to Habit Change book for you today, because most of this class is based on the book. So let's start with chapter 1, which is called Interrupt and Disrupt Habitual Patterns. How old are you now? I know many people prefer not to be asked this question, so I will rephrase. How old is your habit? How old is your pattern? Really think long and hard about the answers to these questions. It had to start somewhere, and it usually started much further back than you think. It can help to do what most of us humans do when trying to think about where something started. Think about who you would like to blame for this habit. Who first introduced you to smoking, let's say, drinking, and so on. Identifying who is to blame is a great way to start. Of course, you will need to eventually blame yourself, but we will get to that later. Okay, so blame is a bit harsh. Let's say instead, who is responsible for teaching you this habit? It's also helpful to remember what was happening at the time you started the habit. I'll reread that. It's also helpful to remember what was happening at the time you started this habit. How was life treating you at the time? Knowing where something originated and how long it's been around can be very helpful in understanding just how powerful and big this pattern has become. Something that has been around and has been reinforced on a consistent basis over and over for many years will take some concentrated effort to alter and or remove. And I do say alter because sometimes you just need to lessen it. You need to lessen the habit or bring something new in. It's not like you have to quit everything, but just changing it, lessening it. In order to make a breakthrough with this habit, we will need to use some trickery to get this situation moving and grooving. The key is to break up your current routine so you can create a new one that serves you better. We call this trickery interrupting and disrupting your current patterns. It's like in the show Seinfeld, when the character Costanza decides to have an opposite day, where he's doing everything opposite of what his instincts tell him to do. Interrupting and disrupting patterns is like having many opposite days in a row until your new way of being becomes your new way of living. You've got to turn the crank in the other direction and see what churns up. This may sound a bit wacky and uncomfortable, and you are right because it is, at least in the beginning. But let me tell you that it is so powerful and it is worth it. Take a moment now to look at your current routines and patterns and see where you need to make a disruption and or interruption and do it. Then choose the number of days you will do this for. Many will refer to this type of strategy as a cleanse or a detox, taking space from the item temporarily that has gone awry. Often this translates into a 7-day practice of abstinence. In my course, of course, it's 21 days. However, I also recommend a 3 or 5 day break for those habits that have been around much longer, and you might need shorter process at first this first time around. I highly suggest you find a handy-dandy pen and journal and record your process. You may feel out of the ordinary and a bit upside down for a while until you find your new way of operating. However, remember, you got this. You can do it. Now it's your turn to get that pen moving. Ask yourself, How old is my habit? Who introduced me to this habit? What was happening in my life when I started this habit? How is life treating me? When will I start my week of opposite days and/or detox time? How will I reward myself for my successful completion of this habit break, this habit change? I hope you've enjoyed chapter 1 of my book, A Pocket Guide to Habit Change. If you'd like more information, you'd like to take my online course starting next week, rootedlivingwellness.com. Thank you.